Hey there everyone, and welcome to some RPG horror stories with DnD Doge. In today's episode, we have a tale about a dungeon master that goes a bit overkill with Fireball, and a story about a dungeon master that seems to target one player, and favor another. But before we get into those, I think we need a dose of Kitty. There we go. Now I think we are ready for these stories. They All Cast Fireball by Reddit user ThatWaterAmerican. A lesson on why spellcaster enemies should not share the same initiative count. Our party was running up on some evil wizards who had a MacGuffin that we needed to get into the next area. We had initially allied with them, but after doing more than our share of the work, they hadn't done the bare minimum. So things escalated into a fight. The enemies won the initiative, and the DM had all 5 mages act on the same initiative count. Our party was pretty spread out, with the druid and the wizard together in the center, leading to the conversation, while the cleric, bard, and fighter were on the flanks. The wizard's bandits' minions kicked things off by doing a little bit of damage to everyone at range. The party wizard takes a few hits, but saves his reaction to counterspell because all 5 wizards, mages, go next. On their turn, they cast Fireball on our druid and wizard, meaning all of them cast Fireball. Our wizard successfully counterspells the first, but that's his one reaction. Then the second wizard upcast Fireball, with the DM citing that he saw the first one counterspelled. The wizard fails his dex save and is down. Then there was the third Fireball, and the wizard fails a death save. Then the fourth Fireball on the same spot. The wizard takes a second death save, and the druid is down despite tiefling fire resistance. So what does the DM have the 5th wizard do now that both targets are unconscious? He casts Fireball on the same spot. The wizard has taken 4 fireballs in a single initiative count, 32d6, and is dead before any players have a chance to act. There is nothing he could have done to prevent it once we rolled initiative. At this point, the wizard player says that that's pretty crappy of the DM to do that, especially since the cleric and bard were also grouped together and were an equal threat. But the DM just said, "Yeah, these guys aren't messing around." So long story short, the bard got surrounded by bandit minions at the start of the next round, and then got similarly hit by 3 Cone of Colds on the wizard's turn, which also killed all the bandits. The third Cone of Cold rolls 50 plus damage, and the bard suffers instant death. The cleric had one 300 gold piece diamond component, and after a lot of humming and hawing, chose to revivify the bard. In my opinion, that's an awful position for the cleric player, because it creates hard feelings for the player whose character was not chosen to live. And of course, the evil wizards also did not have any diamond components on them. The wizard player had 2 years of character growth wiped out in a single round, and was extremely pissed. He cursed out the DM for a bit, then got up and left for the day. At the following session, he came back with a disruptive joke character, and I honestly did not blame him. I agree that is a bit overkill for the DM to have that happen. In all honesty, I don't think groups of enemies should share initiative, because things like this can be the result. Or that DM was just feeling especially in a DM versus player mood that day. If anything, I would talk about it out of game and make your grievances known, because with that player bringing in a disruptive character, this horror story can only get worse. Let's move on. The DM giveth to one player, and the DM taketh away from another. By Reddit user Faladir. A couple years back, after DMing for 2 years, me and 3 friends were looking for a DM to host a game for us on Roll20. We were okay with just about any setting, module, homebrew, or whatever, and I personally wanted to playtest a new class that I had been working on for a couple of months, a Death Knight, but was fine with sticking to official material. We find someone with an interesting premise, and who'd even let me playtest the Death Knight after they had read it. We were told that we lived in a futuristic world with technology that would let you travel to a new world through an avatar. We were told to only write backstories for our real characters, but build our level 1 characters as our avatars. However, our avatars would have no knowledge of their real selves, and would have led their lives, but were assured that they would not need a backstory and that our avatars would be considered heroes of the world that they lived in. We're confused, but do as we're told, and all write elaborate backstories for the real characters. During character creation, we were told that if we took a really low stat, we would get an extra feat. That's how we ended up with a Dex fighter with a 3 in intelligence, an artificer and warlock with a 5 in strength, and me, a strength death knight with a 4 in charisma. With me playing an undead with such low charisma, I wanted to make my avatar a bit like a mute Frankenstein's monster, hideous but with a heart of gold. All he could do was make a gurgling sound, so I just named him Gurgle, and the DM loved the idea. Our DM starts our first session with, "You all awaken in a forest. What do you do?" Needless to say, we were all pretty confused, having only received information on a world our characters had no memory of. We asked for more info on our avatars, but the DM just says that it's not important. So we decide to just roll with it and find a town. We encounter some kids who are terrified of Gurgle. They get their parents who want to kill Gurgle, while the rest of the party tries to vouch for him. Gurgle tries to motion, and Gurgle, that he's friendly, but they interpret it as him being evil and threatening. So we spend 30 minutes calming them down. But the next NPCs we encounter react the exact same way. We spent the entire session trying to pacify the village, as every single thing Gurgle did was perceived as hostile intent. No rolls, just instant failure. It was kind of funny the first time, but not so very much the 6 times after. After that session, I asked if I could stop being mute, as I was basically unable to communicate non-verbally without triggering combat. The DM was not pleased, but reluctantly agreed. Over the next couple of sessions, a weird dynamic grew where my character kept getting nerfed, despite performing poorly, and the fighter kept getting buffs and magic items. My chainmail got damaged willy-nilly, resulting in AC reduction, while the fighter got a +2 rapier that could be ignited for a minute as a bonus action to deal 2d8 extra fire damage with each hit, and he got that at level 2. At level 4, he learned to rage using his dex after fighting a barbarian NPC, just as a, quote, little bonus. The fighter just had to ask, "Can I have this?" and he would get it. Then, when Gurgle gets banished at level 5 with the Deck of Many Things, I decided to go for official material, thinking that our DM just didn't like my homebrew. So, I chose a Shepherd Warforged Druid, also with low strength. I gave him only one arm to go along with his low strength, leaving the other one for spellcasting. However, the DM decided that my subclass feature of communicating with animals was too strong and immediately banned it. My friends grew quiet as they knew that I was on the verge of quitting. Having checked out mostly at this point, I just tag along as we get railroaded to a cave with a collapsed entrance, with only a small hole near the top. Thinking that I could finally do something, I say, "Me." I wild shape into a cat to scout out the other side. DM, "You can't." Me, "How so? Cats are great at climbing." The DM, smugly, "You can't climb with only 3 legs." Me, "Are you kidding me?" DM, "Hey, you wanted to play a character with only 1 arm." Me, "But that's not how wild shape works." DM, "Yes it is." Me, "F this, I quit." At this point, the others are chiming in and supporting me, and the DM caves, but at that point, the camel's, or cat's, back has already broken. So I quit the game and leave the Discord server, reassuring my friends that they can keep on playing. But a week later, the DM vanishes without a trace. Ever since, we stuck to just the 4 of us, taking turns DMing, and we never looked back. Oh, and in none of the 12 sessions that we did we get any reference or link to our actual futuristic characters. Well, it sounds to me like this DM didn't really like being asked by OP to change the character to be able to talk, and that OP didn't like every interaction involving fear from the NPCs. So when OP made their new character with 1 arm, the DM just wanted to use it in a way to punish OP for their criticism. And that isn't how wild shape works at all. Say a druid wants to wild shape into a spider. Would that spider only have 4 legs? So I don't blame OP for saying F it and leaving, even after the DM relented. Thankfully, it sounds like OP and the rest of his friends are still playing together to this day. But that is all I have for you today. As always, I appreciate all of you, and may your games remain horror story free. Until next time.